Hi everyone, welcome back to another literacy video. Today we're going to be turning stories into poems, but we're going to be focusing on kenning poems. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to write a few short stories, and then I'm going to show you some ways that we can turn it into a kenning poem. So before I turn my story into a poem, I'm just going to read it to you, and then I'm going to explain to you how I turn it into a poem. Okay, so I'm going to read you my story first. And it goes like this. The baby sloth was cuddling her mother on a branch of a rainforest tree. They had been sleeping for almost 10 hours until they heard the piercing howl of a monkey. When you're turning your story into a poem, it's a really good time to remember your best words or details that you've used in your story. So a poem is just a really small version of a story, but it's using all of your good vocabulary and using all of the good parts that you like and putting them into one really short poem. Okay, so for this one, the baby sloth was cuddling her mother on the branch of a forest tree. So I'm going to focus on the baby sloth cuddling her mother first, and I'm going to focus on kenning poems today. And I think a good way to write that sentence as a kenning poem is maybe by saying, baby cuddler. So that's going to be my first line. Okay, so baby cuddler cuddling her mother on a branch of a rainforest tree. And for that bit, I'm going to say branch family because it's the baby sloth and the mother together. So baby cuddler, branch family. They had been sleeping for almost 10 hours. So I'm going to use the word sleepers and I'm going to say time instead of 10 hours. So I'm going to say time sleepers. Okay, and I'm going to end that bit there because that's all the bit about the sloths, and then the howling monkey comes in at the end. So until they heard the piercing howl of a monkey. Okay, so I'm going to put pierced voice because that's what the monkey is using. I'm not going to end it there actually. So pierced voice. Okay, so my poem is about a sloth and a monkey, but in my kenning poem, I didn't want you to know what it was about because when someone's reading your poem, they should be able to guess what your poem is about just by reading the details. Okay, I'm going to read you another story now and turn that into a poem. This is my next story. The colourful parrots were soaring through the misty canopy among the trees. A grotesque-looking harpy eagle came charging through the air, so the parrots found a place to hide. Okay, now I'm going to think about how I can turn that into a poem. So my first details are the colourful parrots. And for that, I'm just going to write, I like the word rainbow, so I'm going to put rainbow because that is quite colourful. So rainbow. And instead of saying what animal it is, I'm going to give a hint. So I'm going to put rainbow wings. So that's my first line. We're soaring through the misty canopy. So I'm going to say canopy, canopy soar. Among the trees. So I want to describe the trees now. So I'm going to say giant Let's go for giant brown. Okay, so I've finished this section. The colourful parrots were soaring through the misty canopy among the trees. Okay, so rainbow wings and canopy soar are my clues to what animal that is, and then giant brown is my tree. Now the next bit, a grotesque looking harpy eagle came charging through the air. So for that I'm going to say, so because it came charging through the air, that means it was a surprise. So I'm going to write shock. I would use wings again, but I don't want to use it twice. So I'm going to say shock creature came charging through the air, so the parrots found a place to hide. So what did the shock creature do? It came charging through the air. So I'm going to write charge. And instead of air, I'm going to say wind. And then my last detail is the parrots found a place to hide. And in my poem, because I want you to know that the parrots are hiding, I'm going to use rainbow again. And I want to think of a word for hide. Or I could just use the word hide. So rainbow wings, canopy soar, giant brown. Shock creature, charge wind, rainbow. Yeah, I think I'm going to use hide. I think that's okay. Okay, so that's this one. And I've got one more story for you that I'm going to turn into a poem. This is my last story, and this is how it goes. Prowling smoothly on the forest floor, the mighty jaguar had beams of sunlight reflecting off of his fire and night-coloured fur. He spotted a lonely capybara and began to sneak towards it vigilantly. Okay, so that's me describing my jaguar and what happens after. And now I'm going to turn that into a poem. So the first thing I'm going to focus on is prowling smoothly on the forest floor. So I'm going to start with forest floor because I think it's good to know where everything is happening. Forest floor prowling, I'm going to say. The mighty jaguar had beams of sunlight reflecting off of his fire and night-coloured fur. Okay, so I need to give the reader another clue about what animal it is. So I'm going to keep the reflecting word because I think that's a good word. And I'm going to keep the colour of the fur. So fire and night and reflecting. I'm going to say forest floor prowling. Fire, night, reflecting. Okay, so forest floor prowling, fire, night, reflecting. He spotted a lonely capybara and began to sneak towards it vigilantly. So let's describe the lonely capybara first. Let's go for, so I don't want to use the word capybara, I just want to describe it. So let's go for lonely, because we've used that word in our story. Lonely, I don't want to use the word creature, I'm going to put the word prey, because that's what it is to the jaguar. So lonely prey. I think I want to describe the capybara again because I want to know how it feels compared to the jaguar. So lonely prey. It would feel scared, so I'm going to put the word afraid. Lonely prey, afraid. What is it afraid of? Maybe the predator. Okay, because that's what the jaguar is. And then finally, it began to sneak towards it vigilantly. So I like the word sneak, so I'm going to put that in again. So I'm going to put sneaking at the front actually. Sneaking. Let's go for... I'm going to go for another way that the jaguar moves. So I'm going to put creep. Okay. So forest floor prowling, fire night reflecting, lonely prey, afraid, predator, sneaking, creep. Okay, so I've turned this into a poem using my favourite parts and my favourite vocabulary that I've used. Before you try and write your poems, I've just written a few things that might help you. So when you're writing your poem, try to remember what your poem is about. So if you're writing about an animal, try and keep it focused on the animal, give details about the animal or the things around them. You can use metaphors, just like when on this poem, I said that the jaguar had fire and night coloured fur. So it's not really fire or night on the jaguar, but I'm just describing that it's like orange and black, okay? So you can use metaphors like that. Make ideas. So before you start, you can always write down different ideas that you have, so you can choose your best one with the best words or whatever you like. Use good vocabulary. So just like when you're making ideas, think of different words that you can use. So if there's, for example, the word sad, you can use loads of different words that mean sad. So think about what might be the best one to use. Edit your work and read it out loud. So those kind of come together. So if you're reading your poem to yourself and you think, oh, that bit sounded a little bit weird, maybe I need to edit it, okay? So read it out loud and then you'll see how it sounds and you might be able to spot something that you can change. Okay everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you learned something. Remember, if you're writing a story, it doesn't have to always be the same because all stories are different. And if you're turning things into poems or just writing poems, poems can be really different. So you can have it in any sort of layout or organised way that you want. And I hope you watch the next video.